Is it safe or isn't it safe? If you're here, you're probably wondering, what are the side effects of egg donation? If you're a potential donor, you're wondering, should I do this? And if you're a recipient or intended parent, you may be wondering, is it ethical to do this? Well, stay tuned and I'll tell you just that. What's up? I'm Corlandos Scott, and I'm an assistant reproduction attorney based in Los Angeles, and I spend my days helping egg donors and recipients work through the egg donation process. And in today's video, we're going to talk about what are the side effects of egg donation. We'll look at a few things. We'll look at the physical effects. We'll look at the psychological effects. We'll also explore the lifestyle effects of egg donation. When you think about it, egg donation is really, at its core, a medical process. And anything involving medicine and medical procedures comes with a risk. Do this really quick. Think about that Tylenol or aspirin bottle in your medicine cabinet. You know, when you turn it around and look at the back, there's all these warnings, right? Even taking an aspirin comes with risk. So only imagine that a medical procedure as intensive as egg donation, it also comes with risks. What are those risks? If you're a donor considering the process, it's so important that you talk to the reproductive endocrinologist that you're working with to find out what those risks are specific to you and also in general. You want to make sure that before you decide to do this, you know what you're getting into. But here are a few things that can get you started on understanding the general nature of the risks of egg donation. The physical risks. Of course, undertaking this process, you're going to do things like blood draws to be examined. So there's the physical discomfort and the pain associated with that. But the bulk of the risk comes around the hormonal fertility treatment that you'll undergo as an egg donor. Some of the side effects of these fertility treatments have been known to be weight gain, mood change, allergic reactions, and even things like hot flashes, fatigue, and headaches. But the big issue when we're talking about egg donation that people consider when we're discussing those risks is OHSS, ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome. OHSS is a medical condition that causes the ovaries to swell and become extremely painful as a result of fertility stimulation. Now, most cases are mild cases and the symptoms can last between 7 to 10 days. But there are very rare cases that are severe, and it can last from 4 to even 6 weeks. Now, like I said, these severe cases are rare, but in some cases, they can even be life-threatening. So it's really important that you talk to your doctor about these risks, and if you're going through the egg donation process, to make sure that you're being monitored at all times, even after you complete the retrieval. You want to make sure to report back to your doctor so that you're keeping an eye on these things. Now let's talk about the psychological effects of egg donation. If you've watched any of my other videos on egg donation, you've probably heard me talk about the fact that donors must be psychologically screened. We want to make sure that donors are in the right state of mind and they understand on an emotional and psychological level what they're about to do. Now, one of the psychological risks, if you want to call it that, for egg donation is an unhealthy concern for the children that result from the donation. And when I say an unhealthy concern for the children, I mean a donor who's donated, children have resulted, and now she's at an unhealthy level of wanting to see what's going on with the children, or stalking the recipient parents to find out what's happening with the child, or trying her best to discover who they are and where they are. That would be a psychological risk. Also, a psychological risk would be the donor forming an attachment to the idea of the resulting child or actually trying to find the child to form an attachment. One of the things that a psychological evaluation would help make clear is whether the donor understands that once she donates, the eggs then belong to the recipients, or we call them intended parents. And also along these same lines, a psychological risk is that the donor would want to actually have a relationship with the child that results from her donation. So again, it's vitally important that before an intended parent or recipient choose a donor, that the donor goes through a psychological evaluation to make sure that she is a suitable candidate for what all donating your eggs entails. And if you're thinking about being a donor, you also want to consider these things. If you're the type of person that doesn't think that you could make that type of distinction or make that separation, then you may want to reconsider being an egg donor. Now, this next thing isn't necessarily a risk, but it's something that donors have to be prepared to give up. So let's chat about lifestyle effects. Being a donor is going to affect your lifestyle. Now, you could not be a donor and do whatever you want to do. But if you raise your hand to say that you would like to be an egg donor, there's going to be things required of you that you have to give up for a period of time. For instance, while you're on these stimulating medications, there's going to be a period of abstinence that you have to observe. And let me highlight this. For a woman who doesn't have fertility issues, while you're on stimulating meds as an egg donor, you're extremely fertile, so you probably wouldn't want to accidentally get pregnant anyway, unless you want to be the next Octomom. There's also the possibility that you will have restricted activities. There may be things that you would normally do, sports, horseback riding, activities that you would normally do that the doctor will say during this period you need to shy away from. Now, again, the entire donation period from stimulating meds until the retrieval, it most likely lasts a matter of weeks. So it's not like you're giving up the rest of your life, but just be prepared to change your lifestyle for a period of time. Hey, if you're watching this video and you're thinking about being a donor, comment below and let me know. And let me know your biggest question about should you be a donor. One of the things that I often relate back to is it all worth it? At the end of the day, having worked with hundreds of recipients as well as hundreds of donors, I can tell you that none of the people I've worked with who have gone through this process have said that it wasn't worth it at the end of the day. When I work with donors, all the donors that I've worked with in my experience have entered into the process because they wanted to help someone grow their family. And that's a beautiful thing when you see a person or a couple who wouldn't otherwise be able to achieve their dream of having a child, be able to do so with the help of a donor. It's the most beautiful thing that I've ever experienced. So, is it worth it? Only you can be the judge. But if you're thinking about it, please make sure you get educated and explore your options. If you're a recipient and you're thinking about the egg donor process, you may also be wondering about the surrogacy process. If you are, then you're in luck because I have something for you. I have a training that I created that I call Stress-Free Surrogacy. And if you click the link below, you can get free access to that training. In it, I walk you through the surrogacy process. I tell you about clients of mine who I helped overcome hurdles and get through speed bumps. And I can let you know how to handle the surrogacy process without losing sleep, time, or money. If you want that, click the link below and get access.